We are recording on Wednesday, March 13th, 2024 at 11:44 a.m. Eastern Time with Mr. Morgan Lerette. I'm realizing just now I never asked you how to pronounce your last name, so I'm hoping that's how you do it. But you're the author of Guns, Girls, and Greed, the book behind you. It's in the description. It's on Audible. It's fucking hilarious. As I told you as soon as I read it, it's Tucker Max meets, I guess, deployment in the sandbox, and it's as someone that I can actually pat myself on the back who's interviewed Tucker Max and read his books. I can say that's what it is. And guys, as always, be it the interviews with doctors or talking about shit that's verboten on YouTube and Reddit and Twitter and all that and iTunes, or if it's just, right now talking about Blackwater and whatever the fuck I want and in between. Anyone that sponsors the show already gets an A+ in my book for just being cool. So again, American Hartford Gold, please go to that. That website is in the description. Use promo code Tommy, text Tommy to 65532. Get a chance to win $5,000 of silver. And just, we are heading towards World War III and the inevitable collapse of a social order and a functioning society. And maybe you feel guilty about investing in the military industrial complex. I'm not saying you have to buy Northrop Grumman stock, but 500 ounces of silver are in the nose cone of every cruise missile. So listen, if we're going to be carpet bombing Gaza, is it bad to make money? Probably. But, I guess if that's a perfect segue, Guns, Girls, and Greed. We're talking about making money through war. So, it's military. It's, I'm not perfect. I'm not God, but I'm going to post the live link. Morgan, please introduce yourself, man.
Yeah, my name is Morgan Lerette. I worked for Blackwater from 2004, somewhere in like June 2004, all the way through the end of December 2005, primarily in Iraq, which is Baghdad, Kirkuk, Halabja. I mean, you name it. I was all up and down Iraq, just kind of doing whatever they told us to do. Primarily, you take an important person and they say this important person needs to go from point A to point B, and then no holds barred. I'm like, you get them there safe, and then you get them back. And it was just a bunch of like pretty good dudes trying to figure out stuff on the fly in a brand new kind of paradigm where we
Mm.
were trying to move diplomats throughout an active combat zone. It never happened. So that's where Blackwater came in and said, "Hey, I think we can do this," and we sure as shit did.
Yeah. And I mean, you were making, right? So you were 24 at the time, and you said you're making 550 or 660 a day. And then I'd put it in the inflation calculator. That's like a grand a day in today's money. I'm 33 now, but at 24, $1,000, that's not bad at all. Like that 1,000% makes sense, right?
Well, I mean, if I had to do it at 43, I wouldn't, but at
No, no, no.
23,
Yeah.
single, and it
Yeah.
was like that was so much money. And I
Yeah.
grew up like, poor white trash kid. So the opportunity to go do that and, hang out and get your war on was
Yeah.
like it was the best of both worlds.
Yeah, it's money and it's just testosterone free. Just yeah, I was with my little brother the other night and we were just every once in a while he and I will just sit there and it's one of those things where I was saying that I kind of understand when older generations are like those kids in their rock and roll because like I'm 33 but I look back at myself in college and I was like a good student. But I still just look back at the shit I did then and I just kind of shake like if I drink now, I'm hungover for 2 days. But like I look back at like the life I lived in college, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? Like that's such like a bizarre, animalistic, just getting fucked up every night and somehow managing to like operate. And then it kind of made me think of your book, and I'm like, Jesus Christ! Like I take the crazy things that I'm thinking of, like living in a frat house and doing that shit, and then mix it with like your frat house was like an embassy in Baghdad. Like there's another level of insanity to that I don't think people really understand. And I think I'm only just now starting to grasp. Can you kind of go into that? Just yeah, it's like Animal House meets fucking active war zone.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was insane. So as a military member, you're not allowed to drink,
No.
but as a contractor, you could drink as much as you wanted. So we would buy these old skunky beers. If you've ever had a beer that is sat in like 130-degree heat for like 4 or 5 days, that's the beer that we were able to get on the
Yeah.
local market. And it doesn't matter how cold it is disgusting. It is pungent to the nostrils and the throat. So, but that didn't stop us. So we would just go out and buy this beer. would go to the pool and you could get hard alcohol. Hell, there was a club underneath the hotel in the green zone that you could go and dance and pretend like you were, not in an active combat
Yeah.
zone. And we would just get fucking wasted. And for the most part, you don't get like fucking wasted before you have to go and do a
No.
run. But every once in a while, you get wasted thinking you don't have anything coming up, and then they're like, "Hey, I need somebody for this." And you want to talk about having to like just operate under like the most hungover, worst circumstances. It was like, okay, well, got to do it. Like, slap your face a couple times, grab a cup of coffee, and roll, man.
Have you ever seen the movie Flight? I've never actually seen it, but there's just a clip of it. It's with Denzel Washington. He plays like an alcoholic pilot or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a scene in it. There's a scene, and I've explained this before. There's a scene in it where theoretically, I think he's supposed to be working for like Delta or whatever, and he's like a great pilot, and the plane crashes, and it turns out it was actually like an engineering thing. It ironically somehow wasn't his fault, and they give him like the best corporate lawyers because they're like, we cannot have this guy tank the company, and he's like an alcoholic, and they finally get him to not drink, and there's a scene where it's like these lawyers have like a bodyguard guarding the hotel door, and they're like, he has to go testify the next day to the whatever NTSB, the National Transportation and Safety Board, and he's doing good. He hasn't drank in like a week. It's all good. And they're like, let's just not fuck it up. And he ends up finding alcohol and just gets blackout. And the next day they go in there, they're like, oh, we're so fucked. Like the lawyers are just we're fired. He's fired. Like the company is gonna go under. Like and Denzel like sits up and he's like, call my buddy Harling, who's John Goodman. Like he's got cocaine. And they're like, shit. And because he has to testify in an hour, and they get him to come in, and he comes in and gives him coke, and he gets blasted. And the point of me saying all of this is, at one point they're like putting coke in a cigarette, and he has him smoke it, and John Goodman goes, you're the banana man. And I don't know what that means. I've never heard that before, but I have taken that line, and it has happened with this podcast before, where I have thought I had a day off and gotten like pretty lit up, and then realized like a prominent doctor's like, see you in 20 minutes. And I'm like, oh, fucking shit. And I say all that to say, I always call it the banana man, where I'm like, you just got to like get up. It's, Hunter S. Thompson, when the going gets weird, the weird get professional. Cold water, smack my face, coffee. And I just call it the banana man energy. It's a very niche situation, but I feel like I say all that to say, I feel like more often than not, you probably found yourself in like a banana man situation.
There was a lot of banana man situations. And the irony is like these are the dudes that you would trust with your life,
Yeah.
right? So you got this medic, and it's in the book, but this
Yeah.
medic is like he wakes up and has a couple beers to take the edge
Yeah.
off. And like if looking back at it, it's like, yeah, I still trusted this dude, even as drunk as he was. And
Yeah.
if I was shot up, like he would know what to do. It's muscle memory, he'd be
Yeah.
fine. But it did lend itself to a lot of extracurricular activities that we
Mm.
probably didn't need to be doing. And in hindsight, I can't imagine how many times somebody got in the vehicle and just like smelled the 90 proof coming off of
Yeah.
people's breath and being like, oh, well, that's great. These are the people that are going to be driving me around. Like
Yeah.
it was just insanity. It doesn't make any sense. It still doesn't make any sense, but at the time it didn't.
Yeah. No, but at this, I mean, I also, I mean, I don't get it as I never served, but I do kind of get it. Like, there is that sort of like devil may care, like we're dead tomorrow kind of mindset. Like, why not? Right? You see those old videos of the guys in Vietnam smoking pot out of shotguns. Like, what the fuck do you care? It's you could be a napalm strike on your position in an hour. Is there any? And I know you kind of talk about that more in the book of, you get there and you start to get an idea of like maybe I'm going to go to college or go get a job at Costco, and then there's just the whole rush of like, what if I just take my money, I'll go live fast and hard, and then immediately I'll go back, and then I'll just go make money again in deployment. And it's kind of like Hurt Locker-esque, where it's like you just want to get back to it, and then it's like, and one day I'll take an RPG to the face and that'll be it. And is there is there truth to that, where it's just like
Oh,
you're not
yeah.
dumb, like you're aware of the danger, like you make that very clear in the book. It's not ignorance. Is it like, I don't know, is it just like willful surrender?
No, it's like chasing the dragon, man. It's
Yeah.
like being an alcoholic. It's like being a drug addict, right? Like we would have guys that said they were going to go home for like 3 to 6 months, and then 3 weeks later they would be back.
Yeah.
So there's two things that draw you back. One is the money, because you go home, you blow through all your cash, and you realize you don't have that paycheck every 2 weeks.
Mm.
So you blow through 4 months worth of cash, you don't have that much left. It's like, well, now I got to get back. So there's one. And then two, it's an easy life. It's a scary life, but like you don't have to make your meals. You don't have to worry about picking up your kids. You don't have to worry about anything. Everything is provided to you in this small little camp.
Mm.
And they're literally your best friends, right? It's got to be like a frat house
Yeah.
hanging out at this camp. And you think, well, I'm sitting at home. I texted my other buddy that's at home, and he was like, cool. Like, great to see you that you're home. And that's in Tennessee. I'm out in Florida, let's say. Like, there's no connection when you get home. And it's
Yeah.
not like you're a military member where people are like, thank you for your service. And you can go and talk to other military members. It's just you and your thoughts, man.
Yeah.
So, do you really want to face those thoughts, or do you want to go make some more money and get your ass back overseas? There was a lot of old dudes there that
Yeah.
you could tell made really bad life decisions that should have been close to retirement that weren't.
Yeah.
And those guys would be able to do 6 months on, 6 months off, whatever they wanted. But 23 years old when I started, I was absolutely just like live for the day, man, because who the heck
Absolutely.
knows what's going to happen?
Absolutely. Yeah. You don't. I mean, in college, like being in like a fraternity, I mean, you have that logic, knowing full well it's not real. Like knowing college is going to end. At least doing what you're doing, you're like, it sounds odd, but it's like, no, 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 don't worry. Like, there's a legitimate chance I could die. Like, it's all good. Like, whereas in college, it's like, if I don't get an A, like, my dad's gonna kick my ass. Versus there, it's like, no, 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 it's, don't worry about it. You probably won't make it 4 years. Yeah, I mean, it is enticing to be in your young 20. I mean, I'm just thinking, like, I went to school at the University of Georgia. Yeah, going to like an SEC school, young 20s, getting fucked up. You're with your best friends, and then instead of having to go to biology lab, you take a saw and get in a Humvee.
Yeah.
Like I do, like I kind of get it. Like I don't get it because I didn't serve, but like I do get it, like in theory.
Yeah, well, and it was just a mishmash of people, right? So Blackwater started off very Navy SEAL heavy, but at some point, there's not enough Navy SEALs that are retired or have left the service to be able to have this many people. So I'm Air Force Security Forces, not cool at all. It's like
Yeah,
being an MP, except you don't actually get to be an MP, you get to stare at planes all the time.
yeah,
Um, but I knew a guy that went over to Blackwater, and they said, hey, call Morgan, he's good in the pocket. And that's how I got in.
mm,
So you have all these guys from, guys like me, and I'll put myself at the bottom of this, to Rangers, Special Forces, Navy SEALs, DevGru, like all those dudes that are just kind of like coming together. And you realize pretty quick that even within those communities, there's turds.
yeah,
And even with like I had no problem getting on the QRF because I knew people, they had seen me like what I do, how I do it. It wasn't a big deal. So if you could prove yourself, it didn't matter.
yeah,
But you had some guys that were just like, how did you become that cool as like an SF dude? And then
yeah,
now it's like you can't shoot the broadside of a barn, or like you're afraid of opening your door. Like it's very odd. That's why war is done by young people, right?
yeah,
Like we're all invincible. I had no problem popping out of the Humvee, walking down the bridge with my
yeah.
gun pointing at somebody and being
Fuck
like,
it.
get out of my way, get out of my way. Whereas the old guys were like, I'm more than happy to sit here and play poker
Yeah,
and never leave the green zone. Like they
yeah,
were there for the cash, not the adventure.
yeah, yeah. No, some of my buddy, I've interviewed tons of SF and tier one guys, but some of the guys are just my age, and they're just Marine enlisted, and like every once in a while, I remember asking one of the guys we were drinking one time, I was like, Don, do you ever like thinking that I'm asking some like unique question, and it was the most like retarded. I was like, do you ever miss it? And he just looked at me and he goes, every goddamn day. And I was just like the look in his eyes of just truth. But no, you do. I mean, like one of the guys, and I'm gonna have him on if he's come on. I don't know, probably well over 100 times. But Dale's in Delta Force, and then like right after 9/11 went into CIA ground branch, which he was like, it's like Delta Force, but but it's dangerous. And I was like, I thought Delta Force was dangerous. Just shows how much of a pussy I am. He's like, no, no, no. He's like, like, no, no, no. It's like Delta, you have big military behind you, but CIA, you don't exist. If you don't make it, like, no one comes to get. I was like, all right, cool. And Dale just turned 60, and he'll talk about how he's done, he's out of it. But then like he'll be like, yeah, I gotta be honest. If I was offered like a job right now, he's like, fuck yeah. He's like, the money's good, but there's also just nothing like it. He's like, there's nothing like that rush, and I kind of feel for it. Like it's gotta be hard to come back and to have like any semblance of a life after having that adrenaline rush. Do you still find that?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of why I wrote the book, right?
Sure.
Like, this is not like, a hero worship Blackwater
No,
book.
no,
It's
no. It's
not
a
like we
fucking
were
great
like the
book.
toughest, coolest guys. Like, we weren't.
No.
I wanted like the ground perspective so that other people could see like there is an emotion to this. There's anger, there's raw, like you lose friends the same way you do in the military.
Hmm.
I can't stand the books that are written by like CEOs and politicians and generals that are talking about the war and it's all in platitudes, right? Oh, we lost 3 people over in this area. Like, no, dude, those people are real. They had
Hmm.
families. Like, there is a emotional toll that is taken, whether you're a contractor or a soldier or what. So that's why I wrote the book, is like, I'm tired of hearing about how, I mean, I've heard some good conspiracy theories. Oh, you guys were over in Iraq trafficking children for sex trafficking. And I'm like, no, we just protected the ambassador.
Yeah.
But
No, we
it,
traffic kids here.
yeah,
The U.S. That's
yeah.
where I mean, the United States is the largest consumer. Like that. That's a good little wake up call. But sorry, keep
Well,
going.
and private military contractors are at the border moving unaccompanied minors right now.
Yeah,
So,
I know guys that like are hunting down the people that bring the unaccompanied. It's
yeah.
yeah, you want it's like wow, the darkest people think it's like Taken the movie, like it's the darkest corners of the world. It's like, dude, the Super Bowl is the largest hub of child trafficking every year on the planet. Like the Super
Yeah.
Bowl, like the
It's
NFL,
the
like yeah,
it's the supermarket that's right down the way from the stadium.
yeah.
It's
No,
not it's not some place that's
it
like
is more people. It is more people in like suburban neighborhoods at like YMC. Yeah, I wonder where it is. Is it in like the backwoods of Syria? No, it's in suburban Atlanta. But sorry, keep going.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Talking about yeah, VIP isn't shit.
And yeah, no, so you just like there's always a draw and there's if somebody asked me today, I actually had somebody reach out and said, "Hey, I'm doing a RFP for a contract over in Africa. Can I use your name?" And I was like, every part of me was like, "Hell yeah, you can." And then I was like, "Dude, I got 2 kids." Like, I think your pendulum switches at some point. If you're like a normal human being, like,
Mm,
right, I'm gonna go get a real job. I'm gonna go have kids. I'm going to have a house. And then there's some people where the pendulum never swings and it's always up here. I know guys that are still in the PMC world now. It's 20 years. This is not a career, right? Like, this is not a traditional, I can do a 401k and be able to retire comfortably. Like, this is somebody that just can't get away from it. Like, it is a straight up addiction. It is what I in the book I call it toxic but intoxicating. You know you're
yeah,
gonna die. You know you're gonna sit there and breathe in carcinogens, with their burning trash next
yeah.
to you. But at the end of the day, you look at that and say, well, but the money's good and this is such an easier life than actually going and trying to explain people what I do.
I I don't even like disagree with that mindset though. I mean, ultimately, I mean, in high school, you had to read that book Grendel, just or Beowulf, whatever, however old, like 2,000-year-old book about whatever the fuck. But I mean, in it, there's the dragon, and the dragon's some like creature that's been alive for 500,000 years or something, and it just lives in a cave on top of a mountain of gold. And the dragon says it something like, "What's the purpose of life?" And the dragon says, "Seek gold and sit on it," and that it likes that, right? Like Charlie Sheen talks about it, the best times of his life is when he would wake up, get a crack rock, and then jerk off for 9 hours to porn. He was like, it was just so simple. I knew what I wanted, and there it was. And like part of me is like, well, what about fulfillment? And what about like self actualization and improving your community and finding love, and that's all well and good. And but another part of me is just like, who fucking cares? Like,
Straight hedonism.
but it's not. It's that, and it's like, but I mean, you always look at like like the quarterbacks or pitchers that eventually have to throw in the towel, but they throw in the towel because they can't compete with the younger guys. Like, what if it wasn't that? What if if you're a good shot, you're still good to? I mean, Billy Waugh, right? Billy Waugh was. I mean, he was in CIA ground branch until his like 80s. That dude passed away, I think, last year. But I mean, if you know what you love, well, is it a bad thing? I mean, I
No,
kind of don't disagree with it. Almost, it's just like you love the adrenaline. Like, who most people never get to find that. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, so I got out of Blackwater and I joined the Army as an intel officer. And I told everybody, look, if you like the Army, great. Like you can love the Army, but the Army doesn't give a fuck about you. But
Yeah.
as long as the Army is giving you exactly what you want, stay in it. The
Mm-hmm.
minute the Army says, like, oh, we're going to send you to Fort Polk and we're going to make you a whatever that you never wanted to be, that's your point to get out.
Yeah.
But if the Army's saying, hey, I'm going to send you to Germany and you get to go there with your family and you get to like not have to deploy, stay in as long as you possibly can.
Mm.
And I think a lot of people gut stuff out, not liking it for that little carrot that they want to reach, whether it's military retirement, whether it's staying in Blackwater, working in the PMC world. There's I don't think it's as fulfilling as people hope it is, and they put up with a bunch of crap just to be like, yeah, but I'm so close.
Mm.
And if it's everything you wanted it to be, keep doing it. But if it's not, you gotta go. And that's what it came down to for me. Like, well, besides beating the crap out of the embassy bathroom and getting fired for the second time, like I could have gone back at any given
Yeah.
point, but I was like, what kind of life am I living? Like, I don't even know my family anymore, and it's only been 18 months. It's almost like you go into this worm tunnel and you start on one end and you come out on the other and you're like the same person you think you are, and then the world changed around you.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like every time somebody's trying to say, how do you do time travel? And they just take the piece of paper and they fold
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
over and they poke. Like that's how it feels.
Yeah.
And then you realize, no, I am just an asshole. I've been over there too long. I got PTSD. Like there are all these things that I thought I was immune to because I wasn't a soldier.
Yeah.
Coming back and trying to figure out how do you deal with that? And there's no support system, right? There's
No.
no VA for Blackwater.
No.
Blackwater's like, thanks for playing. Like, that's great.
Fuck off.
But yeah, thanks. You made money, we made money, everybody feels good. But it's just you and you trying to figure shit out. And there's a lot of Blackwater PMC guys that just never made it out. Physically, they made it out. Mentally, they didn't, and then they ended up checking out. Like the suicide rate is
Mm-hmm.
astronomical for PMCs, and they would who who's at fault? Is it the person that signed up? Is it the government? Is it the private security company? Like who can help? Not who's at fault necessarily.
Mm.
Like everybody chose their path. I'm not
Sure.
saying, pity me, but who who should be helping in those situations because you're still a US citizen, still going over to an active combat zone. And it's just such a new paradigm where you're using mercenary type forces without, essentially saying they're mercenaries. So where's it going to fall? And the truth is, I don't think it's going to fall anywhere because politicians are more than happy to send PMCs over to Ukraine, Israel, Syria all day long because they're not putting boots on the ground and they don't have to worry about somebody getting killed.
Mm. I think as with everything, mental health is, and it's hard to see it when you're in it. But looking back at moment like the lowest moments of my life, or I told you I lost a sibling. Like it doesn't really matter whose fault it is because it doesn't. It's like being on like the top floor of the World Trade Center. and being like, God damn it, why did we fund the Mujahideen 20 years ago? And then they became a radical spin-off group. Now they hate the United States because Donald Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney went and did this, and now they're mad at Saddam. And it doesn't really fucking matter. You're on the top floor of a burning building a quarter mile above New York. Like it kind of doesn't matter. It does, but it doesn't at all. And that's, that would be kind of, there is no answer to it. It's whose fault. And it's, unfortunately, it doesn't matter. It's at your doorstep. And that's a very hard thing when the only time you've ever tried to broach that question is when you are at rock bottom, right? I'm, I don't even know if lucky is the right word, but I'm lucky that I lost a sibling. I have two other siblings and I have two loving parents. When, you know, I ever start to feel down, I know I can reach out to them. And it's like DEFCON 1. Like it doesn't go for, and in that sense, I'm very lucky that I have this immediate family. There's not some fiduciary responsibility. It's not like a doctor that's like, fuck, I can't have this kid die. It's like loving parents. It's two other brothers that also have our brother's tattoo on. And like, but I mean, even without that, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. What do you do if you're in a family that's never been touched by it, or you just come out of Blackwater? Even if you're in the military, like go to the like you are still just in a column, and I don't think it, I don't think it matters whose fault it is because it does, but it doesn't. It's like, oh, you committed suicide, that's your fault, and it's like that doesn't matter anymore though. He's done. I don't
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
No, I mean it's good for learning, but to your point, it doesn't matter at the moment, right?
yeah.
I think you're gonna have an entire generation of private military contractors that are looking back and saying, oh crap, maybe that wasn't the best career path for
Mm.
me. Same way that you're starting to see a lot of like Republicans be anti-war, right? You
That's the
couldn't do
wildest thing
anything
ever.
wrong. I know it's crazy.
It is.
Like you couldn't do anything wrong with war for like 10 years. And then all of a sudden they were like, hey, our dudes keep dying over there and we just keep on waving the flag. And
Yeah.
now you have people like me, I grew up kind of conservative dude.
Yeah.
And it's like, what am I going to tell my kids? Am I going to tell them to join the military? Am I going to? And probably not.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, probably not. So that's that 20-year paradigm shift that you're
Yeah.
seeing. Like the people that fight in the wars are like, I'm done. And now the crazier thing is like the Democrats are like, do more war. And you're like,
It's
whoa, bro, like
nothing
what
nothing
happened?
nothing has like black pilled me more about like the Uniparty than like the last couple years. Like I'm definitely more conservative. I've voted liberal before. Like I get it. I have like rural family and friends and city. I get and I've interviewed enough people. I'd like to think I kind of see all sides of things, which is I guess a totally douchey comment. But that being said, there is nothing more absolutely batshit than like than like guys I interview, like former SF guys who are like, this is bullshit. Do not go get involved. Like this is just another war for money. In the same way you look back at Iraq and say it was all lies, or Vietnam, we're gonna be saying the same thing about this. And then you have like these these groups of people that are like, it's like LGBTQ rights in Ukraine. It's like, what the fuck? Like, you see it on Reddit and it's like a pride flag draped over an Abrams tank, Slava Ukrainian. It's like, what fucking bad like gas station synthetic weed trip am I on right now? Where it's just like, you're like, we need more money for Ukraine and Israel because we've got to, listen, like you hear like the argument like, listen, it's good that we're sending the Ukrainians to their death. We are getting such a good deal for the American empire, and that these aren't American boys, and you're like, what up? I mean, it feels like an acid trip. It feels like a weird comedy. It feels like an early 2000s, like if Old School was about the Iraq War. Like you feel like you're watching a comedy about it, and it's, yeah, that's another rabbit hole. I don't know. That's a fucking weird as fuck rabbit hole. Just the
Well, I mean, all those guys in Ukraine, even on the Russian side, the Syrians, like the Israelis, the Gazans, like, dude, those are real fucking people. And
yeah,
that's the problem with the books that you read about war is that you
yeah,
don't realize that that person is absolutely real.
yeah,
And people say like, oh, it's great for our investment because the Ukrainians are dying and the Russians are dying. And you're like, look, those people have families too. And I'm not trying to be like, you know, come together, hold hands around this tree. But at the end of the day, like nothing teaches you that life is precious more than like seeing other people lose it really young. I was
Mm-hmm.
talking to one of my buddies, and he's like, "Oh, I'm at a funeral." I was like, "Sorry, dude." And he's like, "It's weird because guys like you and me went to a lot of funerals when we were young, and usually your funeral stuff is as you get older, right? Like, your parents die, and then like your friends start going right about the time you're going. Whereas, 23 to 27, 18 to 27 was when we probably experienced a hell of a lot more funerals. And what is and I mean, take the psyche stuff out of it. It just kind of makes you like realize, holy crap, like these are real people that would still be around hanging out with me, right? We'd be texting each other, sending each other
Mm-hmm.
nude pictures and
Yeah.
going, "Oh, gross, don't send another one."
Yeah.
Ooh.
Teehee.
Yeah, like
Yeah. Yeah. It is. And I find that more with myself is like, I don't know. I think just when you see like, I think the cheering on is, it's like Inglorious Bastards, right? And there's the scene where all the, they're at like the propaganda film and they're watching, for everyone that hasn't seen it, it shows all these like Nazi high commander at a theater and they're watching a Nazi propaganda piece of a German sniper shooting like Allied soldiers or something, and they're all cheering it on. And that's when they go in and kill all the Nazis because they're all in the same location. But there is something poetic about watching in the movie, you're watching these Nazis cheer on a German sniper, and you're like, dude, fuck them. And then the American good old boys go in and mow them all down, and you cheer on, and it's like, but now you're in a theater watching a movie. It's just the same thing. It's me. It's brilliant, right?
yeah.
I'm not like a film buff, but I'm like, that's fucking brilliant. Um, but the cheering on is like on like Twitter or something. It's like, yeah, I mean, I saw this one video. It's like an infrared video, and it's just you see this dude walking and like lighting a cigarette, and then you just see like it's like a silence bullet. You like see the arc, think, and it hits him, and he drops. And like the comments were like, "Was that an orc, like a Russian that died, or was that like a Ukrainian?" And like the fact that no one knew because it was an infrared video and it was just kind of a white blob. I'm like, that right there like kind of says everything. Is you don't know whether to cheer or not. It's either we got another one or it's like, oh my god, so sad. And that is, and who knows, maybe I'm just becoming a pussy, but like I remember when I saw that video, all I thought was like at one point that was like a 1 day old baby and some mother was just like holding it. And
Well, you have to here's the problem is
yeah,
that morality has no place in war.
none.
Zero.
No.
And
Kill or be
what we
killed.
do, what this is my new theory on war. All right. So all wars are based off of a resource.
Yeah,
And
and
you can
resource
sit there
scarcity
and
bait.
yeah, so essentially like the war in Afghanistan was the resource was your land and you're letting Osama bin Laden train on it. We're going to go take your resource,
Yeah.
right? And then Iraq was like, hey, you have weapons of mass destruction. We're going to take your land if you don't give them up. That's the resource. You can say it was oil, you can say whatever the heck it is, but at the end of the day, there's a resource that somebody's willing to fight over. The moment that that fight starts, it no longer becomes about a resource. It
None.
becomes about morality. And each side is trying to hold the moral high ground, right? The Afghanis are saying, these guys came in, they stole our land, we want it back, we're going to fight for it. They have the moral high ground. We say, hey, we're trying to kill terrorists because you let them keep training it. We have the moral high ground. And once you turn it into a moral argument, it makes it really difficult to look it in the face and say, we're not winning because we have told everybody in Afghanistan this was to make sure that there weren't terrorists and then to give them democracy, to let girls go to school, to everything that we could do to show that we had the moral high ground to the point that we spent 20 years there not making any headway. Iraq's the same way. You can go back to Vietnam, right? What's the resource? The resource is land because you don't want communists to get it. And then we sat there and said, oh, well, now it's not about as much about communism as it is about a free and a fair, like it's all bullshit. And you just need to say, look, this is the resource. We're going to fight you to the death on it. That's war.
Hmm.
But now it's the moral side of was that a Russian or was that a Ukrainian? Well, who cares? Like That's putting morality into war. That's a soldier, he got killed. Like
Mm.
that's just how it goes, man.
And it very quickly always just escalates into one thing, is it can start in any morality. But
Oh yeah.
once it turns into a slugfest, it just turns into fuck them. Like just fuck in, which is just a human thing. Be like, I don't fucking care. It's like, yeah, it's like when you're hungover and you're in class or just something. You're like, I don't give a fuck who did this. Like, pay rent. I don't want to get another fucking email. Like you don't care who did what. You just don't. And it's like I remember I was reading, I forget what it was, but is it a World War II book, and they're talking about these like soldiers in this foxhole in Iwo Jima or Okinawa, whatever, was in the spring of '45, and uh, they get the breaking news that Hitler's dead, and in your mind you're like, oh, they must be cheering, and like there's just reports of everyone looking at each other, just like, okay, like I'm still on this fucking shithole in the South Pacific, like there's still battleships just like deafening, shooting shells the size of car, like all my friends are still getting mowed down. What do I care about Hitler? Like, I don't give a
Well,
fuck
and
until I'm home.
the ground troops don't care about morality for the most part. We are pushing morality further and further down into the military complex to say now every time somebody shoots, we need to make sure that it was a good shoot and somebody's trying to judge that. But the people on the ground are just going to fight, right? That's the two
Yes,
kids fighting over,
you're trying to
you
go
know,
home.
the
Yeah,
girlfriend. Yeah. At the bicycle rack. Like that's how
yeah,
that goes. The morality comes in when everybody's doing the cheering squad. And that's where it's the frustrating part. As a guy on the ground, it's like, let me just go do my work. If I die, I die. And then one rung up is like, well, which one of you died? Was it the Ukrainian? Was it the Russian? And like, I don't give a fuck. Like,
yeah,
if I was on the ground and I was one or the other, I probably would have taken the exact same shot.
yeah. You don't care. It's you just shoot. It's like when people get all upset about like that police officer dumped his whole mag into that guy, and it's like, why wouldn't he? He's trying to go home. I don't even, regardless if it's justified, did he shoot a guy grabbing a gun or did he shoot a baby with a lollipop? Like, yeah, it's just some like instinctual mag dump. It's not morally right, but like that's the other hard part is like the more you examine all of it, and it all just seems like horse shit. There's also the other side where you're like, I can't be some like out of touch old liberal dude that looks like a dyke, like, it'd be like, well, if we all hold hands and love each other, it's like that's also never worked ever, ever in the history of man. Like, our history is who has the bigger weapon, who has the bigger stick to beat the shit out of everyone else, take their women, and have better homes. Whether it's a cave and you want to kill them and take their tiger meat, or whether it's 2024 America and you make money and you have a better car and you have a suburban compound with running water and high speed internet as opposed to living in a shithole outside of Yemen. Like that's the other hard part is it's it's becoming, for me at least, is no longer deniable or ignorable that war is war and that people are dying. You can wrap it in a flag. At the end of the day is it's someone's losing a friend, a brother, a sister, a parent, a son. That being said, no part of me can rationally even delude myself into thinking that we're all just going to hold hands because that's never worked. So like where do you go?
I'm starting this thing. It's called the Leave Me the Fuck Alone Party, right?
Okay.
I'm tired of the Republicans, the Democrats, starting the Leave Me the Fuck Alone Party.
I like it.
Here's the entire concept. You leave me the fuck alone, and I leave you the fuck alone. And if one of us steps over on the other side, that's fine. We can punch each other in the face. But as long as we're leaving each other alone the vast majority of the time, we're probably going to have like a pseudo peaceful existence.
Hmm.
And I think the US and the EU and NATO and all those, like, they do not belong to the leave me the fuck alone party.
No.
Russia is not going to go into Finland in the next, 3 to 4 months. And everybody's like, well, we better just keep expanding until we get on their borders. And Russia's like, can you just leave me the fuck alone? And we're like, No, we are. We're just getting as close to you as possible. It's like that little kid that's like, "Don't
Yeah.
touch me," and you get as close as you
Not
can to
touching
their
you. I'm not
face.
touching you. I'm
Yeah,
not touching
and
you.
then all of a sudden, like they slap one kid slaps the other one in the mouth, and they're like, "How could you do that?"
Yeah.
Like this is where we need to be. I mean, well, I feel like we're getting a little too deep.
Yeah, who gives a shit? Keep going.
Let me talk about the dogs in Iraq.
Go for it.
Okay, so look, you read the book. How do you get a dog to stop humping your leg?
Kick it.
No, you pick it up and you suck its dick, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely going to be done.
Yeah.
I feel terrible for the dogs in Iraq. You could tell that none of them had had their dick sucked. Like
Yeah.
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Um, but the locals look at them as vermin,
Mm-hmm.
and you just like would go over there and try to kick them. Like, I mean, it was horrible the way that they treated their dogs. And I remember at some point realizing that I felt worse for the dogs than I did for the people
Hmm.
of Iraq. And when I went back over there as an army guy, I ended up rescuing a dog who's still alive. I don't even know how this is possible. But like give one dog a good life that it never would have had, and it would make the war better. And you know what? It kind of did.
Yeah, it
It did.
does.
Yeah, it's like at least I did something good for that dog, right? Like the person that picks up it's the parable you go and you pick up a starfish and they throw it in there and they say you could never pick up all these starfish.
Yeah, but
So it
for
doesn't
that one you
matter. And it's
did.
like it mattered to that one, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's where the humanity of combat lives, right? Can you do something to get out of this to where you can still sleep well at night? Like,
Hmm.
is there anything you can do to make this place better? Probably not. But could you give that kid like a starburst and he's got a
Yeah.
smile on his face? Yeah, you can do that. Why the
Yeah.
hell wouldn't you?
Yeah. No, and that's a very real thing. And it's, yeah, unlike the leave me the fuck alone. Like I've pondered that all the time. I've actually tried to like think of like how would you do it? I mean, you'd have just like a northern wall, a southern wall. You'd I don't know, just line fucking the coasts with like artillery batteries and battleships, and you could have Fortress America, but it's like leave me the fuck alone. Well, then how at what point do we determine not being left alone? Is it when the kid touches you? All right, well, what if like I don't know, China or Russia starts wrapping the globe with bases and they're still not here? It's like, all right, well, they're in Europe now, and then 5 years later, it's like they're still not here, and it's like they're in Mexico now, and they took over Canada, and it's like, well, they're still not touching us, and it's like, but then then you're like, well, hey, at what point are we looking at them going, they're getting ready to not leave us alone anymore? And then I fall back into like, I'm like, well, fuck, now I'm like a war hawk. Now I'm like, America needs to spread its values and its interests abroad. And then I'm like, wait, no, I don't want that because wait, we just talked about how every death is somebody's kid, and then you're like, is this the least worst situation where we have bases wrapped around the globe because I'd rather us be about to touch them than them be about to touch us? And it's like, yeah, well, maybe we shouldn't have expanded NATO past the line in which we said we wouldn't go another inch. But at another point, like, who would I rather be expanding, the U.S. or Russia? Is there any world where there isn't nature abhors a vacuum? If we're not expanding, is it Russia or China? And, you know, do we have to expand and militarize space? Because if we don't, they will. And I'd rather have us have a gun to their head and agree not to pull it than have them have a gun to our head and us hope they don't. It's a really fucking. It very quickly you go over the edge of like hyper velocity into like no ideals make sense or stand up. Like
Look, dude, it's a slippery slope, right? That's just the way it is.
yeah,
And um I think that you can project power without trying to project your morality,
yeah, or
right?
your empire.
Yeah. So I mean, if I had a well, let's go back to World War II. What was the whole what was the end state of World War II?
The end state,
Yeah, what was the goal of World War II?
unconditional surrender.
Yeah, kill Hitler,
Destroy the
Japan
Japanese.
surrenders.
Yeah,
Yep, exactly.
unconditional.
Now we go to Vietnam. What was the end state of Vietnam?
Stop the domino effect of communism.
And how'd that go for us?
A 10-year slog, 57,000 deaths.
And then yeah, Korea, you can go to Desert Storm. You could even do something as small as Somalia, right?
Grenada, yeah.
Iraq, yeah, Grenada, like all these things where we have started wars that don't have an end goal. And
Mm,
that is where we continue to get into a problem, right? So there's a really cool, I'll send it to you, but there's a really cool like 8-page thing that says like expecting A while rewarding B. So they talk about World War II. Hey, the end state is you kill Hitler, you get to go home. Everybody knows what it was. Everybody kept moving towards that goal.
mm.
And then in Vietnam, they changed it to where you're going to go over there, send 1 year, and then you'll be able to come home. So now, if your goal is to come home either way, but you know that you're on day 365 or 364, and they're like, go out to that patrol. What do you do?
Fuck
Well, it
off.
turns out they started fragging
Yeah,
their
yeah,
commanders.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't send me out on. Don't tell me to go take that hill.
And what did the military say? They said, "Oh, there's a bunch of hippies smoking weed, and that's why they keep fragging our officers and our senior NCOs." It's not. It's because you changed what you were rewarding, right? Your reward was the same, but how you rewarded it changed. And it's the same thing in Iraq, right? Like I couldn't wait to get out of there after my year. There was just nothing. Like you got me to day 360 and I was like, dude, I'm gonna hide underneath this blanket
Mm-hmm.
and nobody's gonna get me out of here. It didn't
Yeah.
matter. And then what happens is because I was that way, the unit that came in and took over for us didn't get the training that they probably needed or should have had in order to be able to operate more effectively. Not all the way. You're not going to, in 10, 15 days, you're not going to be able to get them up to speed on everything. But literally, the second that they said, okay, now we're going to take over operations, we jammed.
Yeah.
So they fought the same war and learned the same war. Learned it is the worst part. Over and over and over. Every 6, 9, 12 months. Literally relearning the combat operations. And you're never going to win a war that way. You just can't. You have to send everybody over there and say, until it's done, we're going to stay.
Mm. Man, and then like one of my buddies that did a couple tours, I remember I was like, "How would you like go back and redo the war on terror?" And he goes, "The evening of September 11th, several hydrogen bombs would hit Afghanistan, and then that was it." And he's like, "You would still ultimately kill less people than we did in 20 years." That's a fucking tough pill to swallow. But you look at it and you go, if that's the goal, if the goal is to end the terrorism, that's what you would do. And I know it's like an old, like early 2000s Republican trope, like, no, glass it. Like, I get it. But if that's the goal, and if they really carried out, the attacks of 9/11 and that's where it's headquartered, that's what you do. Because, I think like the prevailing number, and I have no fucking idea how accurate it is 1.5 million civilian deaths, and then I think 7,500 American servicemen and women deaths, and then $7 trillion in 20 years. If the goal was to do that, yeah, you'd hit a couple ICBMs. You'd launch them from Minnesota. They would take roughly 30 minutes to get there. They would come in at Mach 23 and explode with anywhere from 100 to 1,000 times the explosive power of the bomb over Hiroshima. But we didn't do that. We didn't do it in Nam. We didn't do it in Korea. MacArthur wanted to do it in Korea. So then you start thinking, is there another goal here? Which one costs more money? Is there something else going on there? Are we using these wars as a front for when so many checks are being written? Does that allow the CIA to kind of move through these flows of money? Does it allow trafficking? Does it allow, opium production? Does it allow, you know, is it convenient to, use this? Is it a Machiavellian, proxy to erode civil liberties at home to enact dictatorship? Because you can't say that's not plausible because all of human history is some asshole saying how much more power can I get? So then it starts getting really hairy, and you start going, well, fuck, I don't want to go completely off the edge, but I don't know, man. Maybe you look at something like 2008 and you look at like the loans being given and the money being made and willfully fucking over people. It's not a big jump to go, would those people or people of that ilk be okay with, instead of just taking your money, you dying? It's not that hard. I mean, I'm seeing it now, right? This is a great deal for the Americans because we're sending Ukrainians to the meat grinder. And you go, oh, yeah, the military industrial complex really is. Yeah, it's hard for like me to imagine it and you to imagine it, because I would argue we're probably on average good people. I don't want to see people raped and killed. There are people who don't operate in that mental paradigm. There are people that look at it and they're like, all right, 1 million deaths. Yeah, no, we can expand the empire. Like, they're not looking at it's like Dr. Strangelove. Like, they're in the war room and they're going 50 million deaths, Mr. President, an acceptable number. And you're like, oh fuck, that is actually the mindset of some people, like, a mile underground and fucking some NORAD bunker. So
Did
that's,
you
yeah.
ever see that skit on Saturday Night Live that was like, are they liberal or are they conservative?
No.
You got to check it out, dude. It's hilarious because it's like somebody goes up there and they make a quote and they say, "Are you like do you support what's that Jenner guy's name that turned into a chick?"
Chris Jenner.
Ky yeah. So
Kylie. Yeah.
yeah, do you support Kylie Jenner?
Bruce
And
Jenner.
yeah, Bruce, yeah. They're like, do you support Bruce Jenner? And they're like, yes, I do. They're like, is it because he's trans or is it because he's a conservative? And like this goes back to your trope that you were saying earlier, right? In 2002 through all the way till the end of the Iraq war, it was we got to fight them over there, we're going to fight them overseas. That's
Yeah.
what the conservatives said.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
How is that any different than the liberals
None.
saying we're gonna send them over to fight so that we don't have to? It's
There's
the exact same thing. It's
there's
just
no
different
difference.
wording.
No.
Yeah.
And that's the
No.
uncomfortable truth, is we're all looking in a mirror and we're going, how dare you? And what were you doing for the last 20 years?
So here's what people ask me, what should we have done in Iraq? Look, I was gung ho Iraq. Saddam Hussein was essentially the guy holding up a liquor store with his finger in his pocket saying, I have a gun,
Yeah.
right? And we said, oh crap, he's got a gun. We actually believed him. We went in there, we took him out. The first thing we should have done is just left.
Hmm.
Because if you go from the history of Iraq, right, back to World War One when Iraq was created, you had the
Hmm.
Sunnis and the Shias, and they've been fighting each other over who can succeed Muhammad for centuries,
Yeah.
right? We weren't going to change that. So we needed to let them go and fight it out. But instead, we kept trying to get them not to fight it out, putting our nose in the middle of it. The Sunnis and the Shias still fought it out. And then when we left, they still fought it out. And now finally, they're getting to a place of stability because they needed to get that out of their systems. Sometimes you got to let the two kids
Just
punch each
duke it
other in the
out.
face at the bike rack.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, they'll either figure out how to be in the same class together or they'll fight again until they do.
Yeah.
That's the Sunnis and the Shias. Why do we think anybody wants the American version of democracy when they have never had it? It's
Yeah.
insane. But that goes to the morality creep, right? We're going in for weapons of mass destruction. Now we want them to be able to have a good democracy. We want to be able to make sure they have stability. Like it's a scope creep of morality that you kind of went downwards with, but where we continue to wage war in order to keep adding moral justification onto it. And then the second we leave, ISIS was like, man, thanks. We're going to take Mosul.
Yeah.
We couldn't have changed it anyway.
Yeah. And it's, I think, I forget who, might have been, there's some dude on Rogan years ago. I forget who he was, but he was talking about how he's like, we went in, like, we toppled Saddam. He's like, and I remember we had, I don't know who it was, some ally or some coalition force. Maybe it was a mercenary, but it was some dude that had fought with the Soviets in Afghanistan in the 70s, right? And he's like, and I remember this guy looked at me, he's a tank commander, and he looked me in the eyes and he goes, now you must leave because you will be here forever. And he's like, and we never left. And I still think about it, like, but then I think like the people at the very top, they're evil, but they're not retarded. Like, none of them were like, I don't think any of them, I think they told us It's like the idea of like UFO disclosure, right? They're like, well, they don't want to tell us because they think that society will collapse if we'll all go crazy if we find out there's other intelligent life. And I look at it and I go, that's what they're that's the argument, but the reality is that, let's say UFOs do exist. No, it's an advanced power source and it's an advanced weapons technology, and that's why they're not. The same reason they don't declassify the blueprints to the B2 Spirit, just for shits and giggles. Like they're not stupid. So when I look at something like that, or the quagmire of Ukraine, or Israel versus Hamas, or inevitably Taiwan and China, they're not stupid. They they know there's not. If you wanted a tactical victory, you would do a nuclear strike and end it in 30 minutes. But they don't want that, which I think it's convenient. I think it's very forgiving and generous to call them stupid. Like these guys they're not idiots. They're evil. They're not idiots. They know what they're doing. I don't really know where I'm going with this.
Well, I think they're myopic. I think we give them too much credit to think that there's a new world order
Yeah.
of these people that are like, hey, we need to keep pushing all this war material over to these different countries. I I wish I could sit there and say that somebody had a plan that was more than 2 to 4 years out in the US.
Mm,
There's no politician that does. They just don't. They have to get elected every 2 to 4 years, maybe six if you're a senator.
yeah.
So that's all they're thinking of. The second that an election ends is when you start trying to figure out how you're going to get reelected. So it is very it's myopic to the point it's almost like stocks, right? Like company stock. Every quarter you live and die by every quarter, and then everybody figures out slice that in half, and then you're looking at your stock portfolio daily and what's the cost, and can I buy it now, can I sell it later, make money, am I going to lose money? Like it's become very myopic with the election cycle that nobody, at least in the US, has a plan past 4 to 6 years. They just don't. So China, kind of to its credit, not really a big fan, is like, we got a 100-year
Yeah.
roadmap.
100-year
This is what we
marathon.
want to do, right? We're like, don't worry, we're going to run the 40 as fast as we can, and then we're going to run the 40 again, and we're going to run the 40 again. And we're not making any progress in any, like, that I can tell anywhere. Like, how is Ukraine helping us? How is having a base in Germany helping us? How is having an airborne unit helping the United States when we haven't really done an airborne? Now, look, we did one in Iraq. It was bullshit. It was all secure. It was up in Kurdistan. But how is that actually helping us?
Mm.
Well, it's a tradition and it's good for recruiting. That's it. But that's myopic, man. Like that has nothing to do with going and being able to win wars.
You should read. I've had him on here before. Professor David Vine. He has a book called Base Nation about all the bases and all the contractors and everything. It is infuriating to read. It is just like it's like, yeah, well, we have the operators there to protect the cooks. It's like, well, why are the cooks there? Well, they're cooking for the operators, and you're like, wait, what the fuck are we doing? And it's like, well, we got to keep it going. We got to expand it because if you're not expanding, you're losing budget. And you're like, Jesus Christ! Like it's like a South Park episode. Like the more you read about it, you're like, this seems like some shit you'd see on South Park. No one's in control. It's like it's like the episode they did on the '08 financial crisis where he's trying to return a blender, and you go to the store and the store is part of a larger store, and then that store is owned by a parent company, and that parent company is financed by a bank, and that bank took all the financing and bundled it into a mutual fund, and you're going up and up and up and up, and you finally get to the Federal Reserve, and they go inside, and it's just 13 guys wearing robes, and they have a chicken on a giant like a I don't know, like a fortune wheel, and they cut its head off and it runs around, and wherever it lands is what they do. And you go, that's what. And it's just like some of the options are like go to war with Iraq, and then the one next to it's like bailout, and the next one's like impeachment, and another one's like nuke Canada, and you're like, oh fuck, right? And it kind of seems like that, like the myopic mindset of just getting elected, just moving to the next thing, trying to get a raise. You're trying to get a promotion. You're trying to climb up the military chain of command or the corporate chain of command. It's all just seems like such a flaming clusterfuck. And then there's the weird point where, you have to bring in human mortality, not even war, just in general. If you live a good life, you have health insurance, you exercise, take vitamins and supplements, you'll probably live to, I don't know, mid 80s. And then it's over. So even best case scenario, you're not going to like figure really anything out. And you figure it takes the first 20 years of your life to kind of be brought up to speed. And then the end, you're kind of too decrepit to do anything. So you have like a chunk in the middle to do something. So
Well, and then your best case scenario is they name a bridge after you, right?
exactly.
Like you're not the
Exactly.
next Abraham Lincoln, not trying to be a dick. Nobody's going to care about Biden
Yeah.
in 150 years, and
But
they're going
even
to
if
be
you're
like,
Abe
"Oh, he
Lincoln,
was the
what do you
president."
get? You get a Lincoln Tunnel and then you get a statue?
Yeah.
You get a
Yeah.
statue. I mean, if you are the best, they'll put you on Mount Rushmore. Okay, look at that, honey. Take a picture. What? Like, So then you start going like, it's myopic. I don't know what the point of it is. It seems to just be the maintenance of empire. And what do I even care? Like, why don't I just enjoy my existence here? Why don't you meet someone you care for, get a dog, and try to make like a starfish, try to make someone's life better. Go volunteer at a homeless shelter.
There you go. Maybe you just cracked the code. It's
I'm
like the
starting to think
Galaxy's
that's
Guide to the
Hitchhiker's
Hitchhiker's
Guide to the
Guide to the
Galaxy.
Galaxy. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm more and more. I think like that's it. Like I legitimately like through this podcast. What is the goal of this? Well, I wanted to. I got into medical school in 2013. I remember my uncle told me, if you're smart enough to get into medical school, you're smart enough to do something you enjoy, making good money, something along the lines of that. And I took that to heart, and it took a while, but that's what I'm doing now. All right, so that was my first goal. Selfish, I don't give a shit. I'm my own boss. I get to do whatever I want. Talking to you because I want to. No one's telling me to. There's no board of directors like, we've been looking at the numbers. We really think you should interview more. Like, no, it's I want to do it, so I will, and I whatever the fuck I want, right? And it's great. I wake up when I want. I do what I want. I work very hard, but if I want, I can just take a day off without telling anyone. I can take a week off, fuck off. So I've kind of reached like that level of like that's what I've wanted is to just be free. At 33, I've managed to become free. The next goal is I don't want my brother's suicide to be in vain. So I do try to do episodes about mental health awareness. I have on a lot of veterans that they run like nonprofits and stuff, and I try to, because a lot of them, it is kind of the whole masculine nature of like, as you know, like don't want to talk about suicide. And I try to, I'm like, I had this experience with my brother, and pair that with the fact that I have my own podcast that I can say whatever I want. And I don't have to run it by anyone. Sure, that means I can also, it doesn't matter if it's profitable or if it doesn't bring in views. I can also just, I can help people. And if it, you know, maybe I could do an episode that's better for views, but what do I care? This is valuable to me on a non-money level. It's a spiritual thing to, try to help out others who are maybe feeling suicidal themselves. So I'm like, that's the second thing. The third thing is at some point in my life, I would like to meet a partner. And that's, I'm kind of, after that, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not, I don't really think there's a whole lot else to look at. I don't really care about, like, what is legacy? You're fucking dead. Like, that's all I
Here's,
want.
I mean, this kind of goes back to the whole military thing. If they give you what you want, stay in the
Yeah.
military as long as you can. But if I could be happy working at a 7-Eleven
Yeah.
on the midnight shift,
I wish I was.
I would do that, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the thing is like you have to figure out what's going to make you happy. Is
Yeah.
it money's not ever going to be it.
No.
I don't want to be a butthole and be like money doesn't help. Money helps a ton, but
It won't
it
be the end
doesn't.
all. No.
Yeah, it's definitely not the end all.
Yeah.
And I mean even dude, the most miserable I think I've ever been is when I got back from Blackwater and I talk about it at the end of the
Yeah.
book like yeah, PTSD. You don't even know what that is. It's not cool. I'm threatening to beat up some poor kid at the community college.
Yeah.
I'm like, 215 pounds of solid mass yelling at this 20-year-old kid that's like parking enforcement. Like, I'm miserable as a human. I had
Mm.
plenty of money, but I'm absolutely miserable.
Yeah.
And that's just what it comes down to is at some point you have to say, it's three pillars for me, right? It's your work, it's your family, and it's where you live. And if you can get two out of those three and the other one doesn't suck that bad,
It's pretty good.
then just do it. Like, yeah, I mean, you're going to be at that wobbly, like that wobbly chair where like one's not as is the same length as the other, but who gives a fuck? Like
Yeah.
just like, I mean, I've talked to people and it's like, fuck your feelings, get better.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. Like,
Yeah.
look, you could sit there and be the woe is me and try to figure out why something happened, or you could be like, fuck your feelings and get better.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the Blackwater people, one, are pissed that I wrote the book because they were like, what happened to Silent Professional? And I was like, Eric Prince wrote a book. What do you
Yo,
mean
fuck
Silent
off.
Professional?
Yeah, eat a
And
dick.
then a lot of them were like, that wasn't my experience. Yeah, you got there when you actually had to wear polo shirts. I got there when you could be in shorts and a t-shirt and you could cut off your sleeves because you're looking jacked as shit in the top of a Humvee,
Yeah.
like bonsaiing down Baghdad, running cars off the road. Like we didn't have the same experience. You
Yeah.
weren't on the same teams as me.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to make it like a dick measuring contest. Look, your dick's bigger. Fine, whatever. I don't care. Like, if you guys can go out and write a better book, write a better book.
Go for it.
Please. I want the story out. That's the
Yeah.
reason I did this. But don't sit here and like piss and moan that I wrote a book and it's not what you experienced. Go and fucking do it yourself. The problem
Hmm.
is most of those guys are dumb as a box of dog shit. You know why I know that? Because I was dumb as a box of dog shit. It took me 20 years to not become dumb as a box of dog shit to be able to compose something that people read and go, fuck, that's good.
Yeah. 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 No, I don't even one part of me is like, oh, it's maturation and seeking simplicity. Another part of me is like, maybe I'm just like a battered wife, and I just accept this. But ultimately, like, I don't care. Is I'm like, I do what I want when I want with this show, right? It's a lot of work, but it's super fun. It's like building your own canoe. Like there's an indescribable feeling of like pushing away from the dock and feeling it float in the like doing this thing and like seeing the subscribers slowly go up and the revenue slowly go up. You're like you feel like a caveman making a fire. You're like, I did it. I did the fucking thing. You're like, fuck yeah. Like, that's cool. It's very cool to like constantly try to bring up mental health and weave it in. It's very rewarding when you get an email or a call from someone. It's like, hey, bro, watch your show, former Army, whatever. And, I've been listening for 3 years and, listening to you, have finally convinced me to go see a therapist. Like, much love from Alabama or something. You're like, fuck yeah, bro. You're like, good on you, man. Go for like, that's starfish. That's not meaningless to them. And then the third is like, I moved back up to New England and I'm near my little brother and near my parents. I'm like I'll fucking like take the win. Like
Yeah.
that's like enough for me. And again, I don't know, maybe I've just been beaten down by life, but I'm like, you know what? I'm not getting vaporized at like a wedding in Iraq because somebody looked like a fucking an ISIS leader in an MQ-1 Reaper shot a Hellfire from the stratosphere. I'm like, I'll take it.
Yeah,
Like
but
I'll take it.
and this was in the book. My buddy was like, dude, do you want to go to Wall Street and make $1 million and be like, oh, I shorted Boeing back before their fucking door fell off and I made a bunch of money on that, right? Or do you want to have cool fucking stories that you can tell your kids?
Yeah.
Now, what he did is that like I'm not going to tell my kids any of these cool stories. Granted, it's in a book, but I don't really want them to know that savage ass part of me.
Yeah.
Um, but at the end of the day, you die, and it doesn't matter how much money you have. You can either die with some, where people can come to your funeral and say, "Remember that one time Morgan got naked and ran through the U.S. embassy in Iraq?" And everybody's like, "Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
remember that time, Morgan got." So wasted that well, one of the guys got wasted and threw an AC unit in Saddam Hussein's pool. Like, yeah, like that's all you're gonna have towards the
That's
end.
that's
And
all
who
you'll
gives
have.
a fuck, dude? If
Yeah.
you're a billionaire, worms don't care. The
No.
worms don't care.
No. Like who's that guy died like last week? Like Jacob Rothschild? Is worth God knows. He's done. It's done now. I'm alive. I'm not a Rothschild, but now I'm alive. And I can jerk off today and he can't. Like
For nine
what
hours after smoking a crack rock if you
fucking
want.
hell yeah. I would and I might do that. I don't know. I might go score some crack and fucking jerk off until my dick bleeds. But like, you know, that really is all you'll and there's like a piece to that. There's a piece to realizing that it's not going to be some final job promotion you get or some final comma in your bank account. There is a piece in like knowing you made someone's life a little better and also knowing that like you enjoyed it. Other than that, like it doesn't. You know, it's like you talk about in the book. It's the mounds of like bodies of men and military age like boys. Like you're not there. Like fucking take the W. Take the like. I live in the United States in 2024. I'm educated. I'm college educated, and my parents are still alive and married. Like don't push it, man. Like don't you keep double or nothing. It's like, hey man, you just turned $3 into 15,000. Walk the fuck away. Just walk away from the table. And that's kind of where I am now. Is just take the W. It's sunny. I'm gonna play some video games with my friends after this.
And realize that people don't nearly give a fuck about you nearly
No
as
one
much
gives
as
a
you think
fuck.
they do,
No,
right? Think of your
none.
most embarrassing moment. Like, and dude, I got 1,000 of them in the book. Like, think
Yeah,
of that most embarrassing moment, and nobody remembers any of that shit.
nothing.
I do. People are like, oh, I was on that convoy, and I was like, yeah, but like, I just had a different perspective
Yeah,
of it, and I remember it. Like, he didn't give a fuck that I was back there, shooting at the car before we ended up smashing into another one. And I like thought I broke my neck on the top of the
yeah,
Humvee. Like for him, he was like, "Oh, I was just driving. It's not that big of a
yeah.
deal.
No,
Oh,
yeah.
there's a car. I better hit it."
You talk about the video and you how like uneventful it looks. You're like, that was the crash. It's just like
Yeah,
you see like a Humvee kind of like this that. And you're like, no, this was crazy. Like it turned my life upside down. And you're like, yeah, no, it's kind of like a fender bender. That
yeah.
that's your existence. Is someone is looking at what you thought to be a monumental crash and your adrenaline's flowing, and the reality is it's just like it's a grainy dash cam footage of a car and you kind of see like the suspension go up and that's your life. Like that
Yeah.
is like someone looks back and they go, oh yeah, yeah. Like I
I
read
mean, the nice thing is you can see all of my crashes on YouTube when I worked for Blackwater. So,
that is awesome.
but yeah, but nobody knows I'm in there. They just see the Humvee just go bloop. And you're like, oh,
Case in point is that's all it is, man. That's all it is. This is, and we'll wrap it up with this. But I always look back at like when you're in middle school and you got to give a book report and you're so fucking nervous. You're like the third one going up and you're so fucking nervous to give it. And you're like, fuck, fuck, fuck. The first person goes, the second person goes. You go up there, it's like an adrenaline dump. And then you're finally finished. And you sit back down and you're like, fuck yeah, I did it. You got to realize that everyone else in the classroom is thinking the same thing about theirs. They're not paying attention to you. So what was an absolute adrenaline rush of fear and anxiety is nothing. It's a white noise murmuring in the background. No one remembers anything. It's like if you like with someone, you're like, "Fuck, can you see that pimple?" And they like look closely. They're like, "Yeah, I guess." And like all day you've been like subconsciously like trying to cover it up, and like they don't even fucking notice. They're like, "Yeah, I guess now that you pointed out, I kind of see it. Whatever." That's
well,
like
there's
that's your entire existence. Your existence is a pimple that someone else only notices if pointed out.
When they've done studies where you're doing like an introduction thing, and the people that you never remember are the people right in front of you and the people right after you because you're so consumed with yourself
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you fucking don't give a shit.
And you're nothing. And there's that's not depressing. There's beauty in that. Because if it doesn't matter, then just make sure you're enjoying it. And so I suppose with that, we'll wrap this one up, man. But dude, thank you so much for coming on, guys. I highly, highly recommend the again. I wouldn't have had you on if I didn't want to. Go get the book. The book is fucking hilarious. It's on Audible, so if you're like me and you don't know how to read, you can just turn on Audible and listen to it. It is fucking hilarious and it's very honest. It's very, very honest. And that's what I enjoy about it. But yeah, dude, you got anything to plug? You want to plug anything else or just wrap this bitch up?
No, Jay Moore read the audio. So if you're a fan of Jay Moore, the comedian, the guy from Jerry Maguire, he did a bang up job on it. So
Yeah.
go check it out on Amazon. And yeah, I hate to be the guy that's like the flower staring up at the sun and being like, I really love that, but it is a fucking good book.
It's very
Like it
good.
just is.
It is. No, that the best compliment I can give is it's Tucker Max meets Active Warzone, or Animal House in Baghdad. It's a fun fucking story. It doesn't. Again, your life doesn't matter. Who cares if you learn anything? Read the book. You are a Humvee. You are a Humvee fender bender. That's all you are. So just enjoy it. I want to read. I want to read Proust. Shut the fuck up. Read the goddamn book. All right, dude. Thank you so much for coming on here. I'll text you the episode. Love to do it again sometime. Mr. Morgan Lerette. Thank you, sir. Guys, go grab the book. Support the good sir.
Recording
Till next
stopped.
time, brother. Thank you so much. Peace. And guys, if you are listening, I hope you still are, should be. You guys like that interview? It's legitimately a good book. If you guys like that, please support the podcast. Please support my ability to keep doing these episodes that are able to be unholy and schizophrenic and all over the place because so long as the show is funded independently, it is able to be whatever it is that I want it to be, which I think most of y'all enjoy, be it the doctors, be it talking about election fraud or the military industrial If you like this show that I just did, how it was all over the place, then please support the show. Go to American Hartford Gold, AHG. Use promo code Tommy. Text Tommy to 65532. Get a chance to win $5,000 of silver. This thing I'm holding right now is 100 ounces. It's roughly two of these. You'd roughly get two of these. This is a little. I think they're like 3,000 each. So this is a little more, but roughly get two of those. And not only that is I'm not asking you to buy something. I'm not asking you to buy food or a TV or something. If you spend $1,000 on silver, guess what? You get $1,000 worth of silver. You're not actually spending shit. You're just taking money and putting it into savings. So, guys, but more importantly, regardless if it's silver or if it's Tums or water bottles or socks, it's a company that's supporting my show and my ability to just do the interviews I want to do and the ones that you guys like. So, for that, I would say that's worth more than anything. Please go check it out. Please go use promo code Tommy. Keep my show above water, and we can keep doing these just batshit unholy interviews for years to come. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.